Did you know that God has a name? Well, of course he does. It's God. But this is really more of a title, isn't it? And sometimes in the Old Testament it says the Lord. But if you've ever noticed that in your Old Testament Bible you have a capital L and then small capital O-R-D, that is usually a translation of God's actual name, Yahweh. And Yahweh means I am, or it's related to the word in Hebrew for I am. And God explains the meaning of his name in a passage in Exodus where Moses meets God and they in the burning bush. Moses said to God, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" God said to Moses, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent you to me." That's Exodus 3:13 and 14. Now, God's name is I am, at least in Hebrew. But by the time of Jesus, most Jews don't live in the Promised Land anymore, and most of them don't speak Hebrew. Instead, they speak Greek because they've been scattered throughout the Greek-speaking areas of the Roman Empire. In the 4th century BC, Jewish scholars translated the Hebrew scriptures into Greek, and that's the most popular translation of the scriptures at the time of Jesus. In that Greek translation, they had to figure out how they wanted to render God's name in that passage that we had just read from Exodus. And they settled on a literal translation of Egō Eimi, am. So Egō is I and Eimi is am. Now, you don't typically say it that way in a normal conversation in Greek. You can just say eimi, am, because the I part is implied by the shape of the verb. And so it's sort of an awkward wording to say Egō Eimi. It's distinct to this passage. People don't typically talk about it that way. And so commentators picked up very quickly on something that happens in John's Gospel. At 8 different times in the Gospel, Jesus refers to himself using not Eimi, the normal way you would refer to yourself, but Egō Eimi, which has echoes of this story back in Exodus about how God pronounces his name. And so what they've picked up on is when Jesus uses this, he's usually making a reference not simply to himself, but also something important about God. Gerald Borchert, a commentator on John's Gospel, puts it this way. In John, the use of Egō Eimi is used in the mouth of Jesus as a self-identifying vehicle for announcing some important theological idea concerning him. So Egō Eimi statements are Jesus asserting something about himself that is also true about God. If, for instance, he were to say, I am wearing blue jeans, he wouldn't just be talking about what he happens to have on at the moment, but he would be making an assertion that God wears blue jeans. Of course, that's not in the text, but if it were, that's what it would mean.